What's up, Soul Family? Coming at you with another collective reading. This one is, looks like it's about the Seven of Cups, so maybe we are at a point where we are having to face a lot of different decisions and choices. So that being said, if you're interested in a one-on-one reading, you can do so by directly messaging me. The first reading is $35 for 20 minutes. You can ask whatever questions you want, or I can simply pull cards and see what comes out. If it doesn't resonate, then I'll simply refund you. But that being said, the Seven of Cups, I think this reading is going to be about maybe you're in a position of there being, like, maybe there's a lot of scattered energy. There's the energy of being uncertain. There's so many different options and choices and paths in front of you, and there is the uncertainty of not knowing which one to take. And many times, sometimes we are in spaces where we actually have certainty, where we know exactly where we're going, where we have our intentions that are focused and our mind set onto how we want to have something unfold, or where we're going, or how we're experiencing things. But I'd like to say that this card pops up many times, like when we have lots of different options. Now, sometimes it's the energy of not every option being necessarily positive or the best, but sometimes it's, and I like to think about this card in a more positive way, it's the energy of somebody who has worked to get these opportunities or to be able to have these different choices to begin with. When you think about somebody who's like a celebrity or somebody who's like an influencer, they have put in the work to be able to get opportunities reflective of that. So they might have a different brand deal with Nike or Adidas or, different name brands, and it's up to them to pick which one that they want to do. And it's not necessarily that one choice is worse than the other. Sometimes when we consider making a choice or a decision, we tend to think that one path is going to be right while the other one's going to be wrong, when in reality sometimes they can be equally as fulfilling or rewarding if we just make a decision. And it's the energy of us being stuck and scattered that keeps us somewhat stagnant. It's almost like the energy that keeps us in analysis paralysis. So I'd like to think that many times when we approach the concept of interacting with timelines from the perspective that there's not necessarily one right timeline, then it alleviates a lot of the analysis paralysis and the stress in having to make the right choice. When in reality, you could probably have all 7 of these choices be right for you. I usually pull tea leaf cards first, but that card flopped out pretty fast. So I'm going to pull a couple tea leaves to get a little bit more insight into the situation. So I got 4. I got Cat with a two-faced friend. Crown with honor and respect will come to you. We have Crib with birth or conception of a child or enterprise. And then 4-leaf clover with good luck and great fortune. So I'd like to think that you're also in a space where not everybody can come with you. There's so many times where we hear this, but I don't think we really understand like what that means. And it's like, obviously we understand what it means at surface value, but sometimes I don't think we really understand who that applies to. And we tend to hold on to some of these connections, when in reality it's just healthier for us to kind of let them go. Sometimes there is somebody who is in our energy where we feel like these signs, we see these behaviors, we see these activities, and we tend to ignore all the red flags until it's too late. So the fact that that card is popping up makes me feel as if you're on the precipice of creating something great, something that's actually going to last. It could be a business. Maybe it really is just a kid, but I'd like to think that you're on the precipice of creating something good, and maybe that is, and sometimes, I don't think we don't always get blocked for those reasons, but there are times where we could be getting a little stalled, or where, because of the fact that we're entertaining something that could maybe jeopardize what we're trying to build in the future, then since our higher mind is subconsciously aware of that aspect, it can sometimes put a pause on the experiences that we have until we are able to separate ourselves from what doesn't serve us anymore. And I say this because sometimes there are people who do not have our best intentions at heart. And with the 8 of Swords, it feels like you know who this is, but you feel like you don't, it's like you know who this is, but you are afraid of making that choice. It's like you know how to handle it, but you're afraid that you don't, or you're feeling hesitant, or you're feeling stuck within the situation. So I feel like one way or another, I think you are aware of who it needs to be or who it is, and it's just the energy of letting that connection go. And I have 3 cards fall out. So we have the Knight of Wands, the Empress, and the 3 of Wands. So it's definitely the energy of, again, taking action. The Three of Wands and the Knight of Wands are the energy of putting motion towards whatever endeavors you've been considering. The Three of Wands especially is you've been planning this for a while. You've been writing this out. You've been, trying to organize your thoughts and consider this, consider that, do all these things, and now is the time to take action on the things that you considered. It's not to say that you are wrong to be in the planning phase. The Two of Wands, the card that comes before the Three of Wands, is the energy of having to still plan, having to, consciously get yourself set up to then take these steps. So it's just if anything, this is a recognition that you are past that phase, and now it's time to start putting motion towards whatever your intentions are. It's time for you to build your empire. And with the Empress coming out, I feel like you're going to end up being successful. You're going to be very abundant. But I think it's also so vitally important to never forget the aspect of self-care and love and compassion, especially for yourself while you go through these things, especially in a society that tells us, like, do the most. Like, what I love about feminine energy by contrast to masculine energy is it's the intention of doing actions with intention to allow the results to flow naturally versus having to, force it and, grind. Like, the amount of times where I've seen both forms of advice and who is right or who is wrong. Because again, the Emperor does exist, and that is a method, that is a modality, but it's not necessarily the only way to get things done. And I've seen so many videos where people are like, just post 100 times a day, just keep posting, keep grinding, you want it, you got to get it. But I've also seen videos that say you could post 3 times a week and you can get so much farther than if you posted 100 times in a day. And both are true. Sometimes it really is a matter of just grinding and hustling, and sometimes it's a matter of trusting your alignment and doing the work from a very intentional space to allow those results to flow naturally. And both will bring about results, and it really just depends on what your mentality is. And I don't think necessarily either is wrong, but I like the Empress a little bit more. I like being soft, I like being gentle, I like not having to kill myself to get a result versus allowing what I desire to basically come because I set a proper foundation up and I set motion towards building up what will allow me to experience a steady era versus being built on a very shaky foundation, so to speak. I'm really going to try keeping these under 10 minutes. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know. Maybe I should start doing them a little longer. I have 3 more cards that flew out. 4 more cards. Let me grab that one. So I have the... Oh god, a lot of wands. Oh my god, almost every card is like a wand. We have the 4 of Wands. We have the 8 of Wands. We have the Death card. And then we have the 9 of Wands. So I think this is somewhat similar to what I was saying prior. I'm going to piggyback off of that and kind of go forward from there. So I think it's the energy again of sometimes when you're in that hustle culture, you burn yourself the fuck out. Like, if you're in that grind mentality and you're just go, and you're always just trying to force reality's hand, you can and will burn out. Like, I promise it's not a very fun thing. So I think being able to take things slow and changing the way that we approach things many times allows us to experience things in a better way. And I like this Death card because she is looking in a mirror, and it's the perspective that she has that's allowing this to kind of be something different. It's not necessarily that that perspective is different or incorrect. It's just how she is interacting with it. So I'd like to think that this is the energy of, if you've been in that hustle and grind culture, then maybe it's the energy of maybe taking a step back, maybe dancing a little bit, maybe allowing softness to be what manifests versus having to brute force everything. And sometimes when we allow that to happen, when we allow ourselves to go a little bit slower, it actually accelerates us faster than if we kind of just ran into the wall and burned ourselves out without allowing ourselves to actually get what we want. And it looks like this is going to end up going to part 2, so I'm going to cut it here, and I'll catch you in the next video. So, welcome back to part 2, you guys. If this is on YouTube, then I'm just talking to the camera for no reason. Maybe I'll edit this out. I usually forget, to be completely honest. But anyway, let's jump right back in. So, a lot of times we are programmed to believe that, again, we have to things have to be hard in order for us to receive them. And I think one of the biggest things that we change in a spiritual awakening is understanding that that's simply not true, that we are able to approach things from a different perspective and way of being, and that can also give us results. And many times that change isn't always easy, but I think many times it can be necessary, especially if we are not getting the results that we want and we're burning ourselves out consistently in trying to do such. I will always remember the times where I was frustrated about maybe trying to make money or figure this out or figure that out. And almost every single time I allowed myself to just relax, let go, have fun, go celebrate something, go do something, it came in like the craziest way. Like I remember once I was at a bar and then I ended up getting like a reading where somebody overpaid me pretty much and they were glad to do such. And that's not like the only time that's happened. There've been many times where I've gone out to a bar, stressed about money, couldn't figure it out, and then one thing led to another and I literally just ended up getting readings because I was just in the receptive mode, because I got myself out of that negative energy of being frustrated about what I'm experiencing. So I think intentionally doing things to keep ourselves in positive states can help quite a bit to get things moving along. Now, this isn't going to be a very long part 2, admittedly. I'm probably going to end up closing out the reading right around here. So I'll pull like the last set of cards and then the bottom of the deck. And then we have our card of the day, which is the Two of Swords. I'll pull another one and then use the bottom of the deck. This one seems to be wanting to come out. We have the Three of Cups, again, more partying and celebration. And then the Six of Wands, once again, victory. With the Knight of Pentacles and then the Seven of Cups. Sorry, I guess I shuffled it back in there. But if anything, hey, we finished at the close. I guess that's how that works. I'm not mad at it. So that being said, again, sometimes we are trying to figure something out. We don't see any clear way. And many times with how reality unfolds, sometimes we can't figure out a resolution to our problem. Sometimes it's not something that we can conceive of. There's been once like where I got money. I got like I got money back from free insurance that I have. Like I can't even stress like the ways that we're not always able to see how something will unfold in our benefit. So I think it's important to keep our energy in very lighthearted and fun states. So sorry, let me organize this a bit. With the Three of Cups, it's again the energy of going out, having fun, celebrating, being not in such a rut, so to speak, or getting yourself out of that rut and doing what you can to kind of enjoy the atmosphere around you as well as the people around you. And I think many times as well, so these two things, the Knight of Pentacles is a lot of the energy of action over time. It's like as we take step by step, lay brick by brick, as we do all these things, it gains momentum, and then eventually it kind of just leads to our success. Like it pops almost. It's like a balloon that gets so much air to the point in which it just explodes. And that's kind of like sometimes what a lot of action over time does. It's you keep on putting time and effort in, you keep on putting time and effort in, you show up, you do the work. And we don't always necessarily see the results that we want immediately, but it doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to happen. The Six of Wands is guaranteed and certain success. And especially with the, I'm so disorganized, with the Seven of Cups being on the bottom of the deck, it's definitely the energy of, again, you, especially once you put in the work and you lay a steady foundation and you show up consistently, you give yourself the opportunity to have these choices and to make better decisions and to operate from a standpoint of not being as limited once you have that foundation set. So I think it's very important to continue to show up, continue to do the work. We don't always see the progress as it's happening. We don't always recognize all the things that are working in our favor as we head towards a goal. And we are not always aware of all the things that we're also clearing out of our experience in order to then receive what we need. But that being said, peace and blessings, you guys, and I hope you guys have an amazing night.